What's up YouTube, it's your boy Nash here, welcome back to the channel, and welcome to another episode of WWE's Biggest Issue. This week's episode is gonna be a very intriguing one. It's gonna be an intriguing one because I'm gonna be talking about the pros and cons of NXT WAR GAMES, which will take place this Sunday. Which will take place this Sunday, streaming live on Peacock. No copyrights, of course. Big shout out to Peacock. And I want to point out before we get started, in no way, shape, or form is this my actual prediction video. I'll be doing that this upcoming Wednesday. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. And I may end up, and I'm actually, truth be told, you guys know in the these last couple months I've been doing videos practically every single day, which I might do. I just might do. I'm actually tempted to do a video every single day. So if you guys want to see that, let me know in the comments. I'm actually tempted. I'm actually tempted to. But that being said, again, this is in no way, shape, or form my prediction video. I'll be doing that in Wednesday's video. But let's get straight into it. And if you guys enjoyed this episode and you guys want to see more episodes in the future, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel if you guys are new and you have not done so already, and make sure you guys smash that thumbs up button, turn on the notification bell so you guys don't miss out, and be sure to follow me on my Twitter and Instagram. The links will be in the description. And for fan mail, if you guys want to send fan mail, my address will also be in the description as well. So if you look at the card right now as it sits, you have the Women's War Games match, which is Team Gonzalez and Team Kai. It's Raquel Gonzalez, Io Shirai, Cora Jade, and Kaylee Ray. And then for Team Kai, you have Dakota Kai and all three members of Toxic Attraction, which are Mandy Rose, the NXT Women's Champion, and then of course Gigi Dolan and JC Jane, the Women's Tag Team Champions. We have Imperium defending their NXT Tag Team titles against either Legado Fantasma or the team of Von Wagner and Kyle O'Reilly, which is kind of an interesting team given the fact that Kyle O'Reilly has done so much better as a tag team superstar, more than a singles competitor in my personal opinion. And then, of course, we have Roderick Strong versus Joe Gacy, get this, for the Cruiserweight Championship. Yeah. Roderick Strong is under 205. Joe Gacy is like, I think they build him as like 246 or something, somewhere around there. Somewhere in the 240s range. Which is so crazy, And then, of course, we have the Men's War Games match, which is Old School versus New School. Old School being the NXT Champion, Tommaso Ciampa, the Bruiserweight Pete Dunne, Johnny Gargano, the former North American Champion, and, of course, L.A. Knight. And then the New School consists of Braun Breaker, Grayson Waller, Tony D'Angelo, and the NXT North American Champion, Carmelo Hayes. So there are so many things that can go wrong with all of this. And then, of course, also, too, I almost forgot, we also have Duke Hudson versus Cameron Grimes. Hair versus hair. I almost forgot about that. I actually just looked down on the card in my book, and yes, I completely forgot about Duke Hudson versus Cameron Grimes. Excuse me. Now, there are so many problems that can go wrong with this card. One of the biggest problems being the fact that they would have to relocate War Games to another building for this whole thing to work. I'm surprised that last year's War Games, which took place inside the PC, mind you, they were actually able to make it work. But now that we're in a new and a much more improved NXT, they would have to relocate to potentially a venue that's a lot more bigger than the Performance Center in order for the War Games matches to commence, which is very possible, but I'm not so sure how it will work out, given the fact that in the state of Florida, I believe the pandemic has risen. The cases have actually risen, if I'm correct. Let me take a look. I actually want to take a look. As of now, the pandemic has currently now, let's see. Okay, so as of now, it started to completely go down, completely, because of the fact that there are a lot of people who have gotten their vaccine, and to be honest, I'm kind of surprised how the vaccines have saved lives, honestly. But yeah. So obviously the cases for the pandemic, I'm not gonna say the actual word, has gone down extensively. But the only place that they could host NXT War Games would probably have to be possibly the Amway Center in Orlando, which is like the probably the most obvious venue to do it, but it's kind of hard to say because last year's War Games, they had to host it inside the Performance Center, and they barely got the ratings that they got last year. Barely, I believe they excelled just barely. Let's see. Let's see. I'm actually going to look up the ratings for this one. Let's see. So as far as last year's War Games, apparently the ratings had went down extensively because of the fact that there weren't as many people watching War Games last year as within the last couple of years that War Games has been around, but and it's only because there are other promotions that people could watch, such as AEW and what have you, but the ratings went down to an all-time low. So this War Games pay-per-view has to exceed much higher than last year's, because if it doesn't, we all know it was all for naught. And think about this. Think about this. For the women's War Games match, you have what? 1, 2, 3. 3 former NXT women. Actually, I take that back. We have 2 former NXT women's champions, both of which are former tag team champions. We have a newcomer in Cora Jade, and we have the longest reigning NXT UK women's champion ever in Kaylee Ray. And on the other side, you have Dakota Kai, who has turned into a deranged individual, and you have Toxic Attraction, who literally took all the titles in NXT, and now it's gotten to the point where the only way to resolve these issues is inside of War Games. How is Team Gonzalez going to coexist? The answer: they're not. We all know they will not coexist. They will not coexist because of the fact that Shirai and Gonzalez hate each other. Cora Jade and Gonzalez are are barely at each other's throats, and Kaylee Ray is, well, Kaylee Ray. Let's just keep it real. As far as Dakota Kai and Toxic Attraction, they're gonna get along so easily. Now, as far as the men's War Games match, you have what, 1, 2 current / former NXT champions in Ciampa and Gargano. You have the second longest reigning NXT UK champion of all time in Pete Dunne, and then of course you got the former $1 Million champion in LA Knight. Whereas opposed to the new school, you've got Braun Breaker, Grayson Waller, Tony D'Angelo, and Carmelo Hayes, the NXT North American champion. Funny enough, I would consider Carmelo Hayes an old school, because he was a part of the original NXT, or I guess the previous version of NXT, so he could be. Who knows? But this is probably going to be I would consider this to be probably one of the worst NXT War Games pay-per-views ever because of three things. Number one, this is actually NXT's first pay-per-view that's not called NXT TakeOver because of the fact that we're now under the new NXT, where you have guys like Braun Breaker, guys like Grayson Waller, Tony D'Angelo. You've got women like Cora Jade, Gigi Dolan, JC Jane. You've got Duke Hudson. You've got MSK. You've got Joe Gacy. You've got who else can I think of? You've got Zoe Stark, just to name a few. They're all in the new NXT, and these OGs, according to them, they're just living in it. They're just living in the new NXT, and they believe that they should either jump ship over to the main roster or just retire. If you guys remember, I talked about it in one of my older videos. Tommaso Ciampa was in an interview, and he said the day that I get called up to the main roster would be the day that I retire, because of the fact that he doesn't want to be too far away from his wife and his daughter Willow, and I don't blame him. I don't blame him for that, but at the same time, you're making more money in the main roster than you would normally make in NXT. In fact, truth be told, when you're in NXT and you're a champion in NXT, you're making the same amount of money as you would make if you were not a champion in the main roster, as far as my research, so to speak. So, who knows? But I will say this. Another reason that this might be the worst NXT pay-per-view of all time is because we've had multiple takeover shows since 2012. Let's see. Let's go here. And here we are. So, obviously, when it comes to NXT, you guys know it was originally a reality show in 2010 when ECW was out of business yet again. Back then, NXT was a reality show that was basically pre-current NXT, so to speak, and it would feature each season would feature 8 superstars that were given a developmental contract or was a part of FCW, Florida Championship Wrestling, and they would be given a chance to showcase their talent, if you will, so to speak. But then, sometime in 2012, Triple H said, "You know what? I'm going to rebrand it. And he decided to restructure it as what we now see as one of the hottest brands in WWE today. And over the years, we've had so many incredible moments. Like obviously the debut of Kevin Owens, the debut of Shinsuke Nakamura, Samoa Joe being the only 3-time NXT champion of all time. It's crazy. Now, and then of course too, we were supposed to have had an NXT TakeOver Tampa last year in 2020, but because of the pandemic, it did not come to pass. So I checked online to look at all of the what you call it all the different takeovers and whatnot, and the very first one, and actually the first 5 took place at Full Sail in Orlando. The first one was on May 29th, 2014, and the main event was actually Adrian Neville versus Tyson Kidd for the NXT title. We even also got to see the finals of the... We even also got to see Charlotte Flair versus Natalya for the NXT Women's title, which was incredible. It was crazy. It was pretty crazy. Then we had TakeOver Fatal 4-Way, which was the second one of all time. Adrian Neville defended against Sami Zayn, Tyler Breeze, and Tyson Kidd for, again, the NXT title. TakeOver R Evolution was had took place also in Orlando. Adrian Neville versus Sami Zayn for the NXT title. That was when we saw the debut of Kevin Owens. And of course too, TakeOver Rival, Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens for the NXT title. We all know how that match ended. TakeOver Unstoppable, Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn for the NXT title. Then we had TakeOver Brooklyn, which was the first TakeOver outside of Orlando at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, where we saw Finn Balor as the Demon take on Kevin Owens in a ladder match for the NXT title. Then, of course, TakeOver Respect. NXT TakeOver Respect. Bayley versus Sasha Banks in a 30-minute Iron Woman match for the NXT Women's title. That match ended so crazy. That match took place at Full Sail. Then we had TakeOver London, NXT TakeOver London at the SSE Arena. I believe they changed it. Yeah, they actually changed it to the Wembley Arena, which is kind of funny, which can hold up to 12,500 seats. What was the main event? What was the main event for that one? The same main event as NXT TakeOver Dallas. Finn Balor versus Samoa Joe for the NXT title. Samoa Joe ended up winning the title at a, I believe he ended up winning the title at a house show, if I'm correct, and took the title off of Finn Balor later on, but still, Finn Balor versus Samoa Joe for the NXT title, both at TakeOver London and Dallas. Then we had NXT TakeOver The End, and what they meant by that was it was the last time that a takeover would take place inside Full Sail. Samoa Joe versus the Demon in a steel cage for the NXT title. Then we had TakeOver Brooklyn 2, Samoa Joe versus Shinsuke for the NXT title. Toronto 1, TakeOver Toronto 1, Shinsuke versus Samoa Joe for the NXT title. Then of course we had TakeOver San Antonio, which was probably one of the best, in my opinion, probably one of the best takeovers ever because of how crazy the card was, and it was Shinsuke Nakamura versus Bobby Roode, or I guess now Robert Roode, for the NXT title. TakeOver Orlando. I remember watching this one very vividly. Robert Roode versus Shinsuke Nakamura for the NXT title. Then we had TakeOver Chicago, which was a tag team ladder match, which was between the Authors of Pain, Akam and Razor, against Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa DIY for the NXT tag team titles. That was when Heel Turn started. And then TakeOver Brooklyn 3, we saw Bobby Roode versus Drew McIntyre for the NXT title. That was when we saw the debut of Adam Cole, and right around that time, Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly had also debuted in NXT. Jump ship all the way over to November for TakeOver War Games 1, the Toyota Center in Houston, which was Sanity, which features Sanity, which consisted of Alexander Wolf, who is no longer in WWE, Eric Young, no longer in WWE, and Killian Dane, again, no longer in WWE. The Authors of Pain, Akam and Razor, again, no longer in WWE. And Roderick Strong. Yes, I never thought that he would align himself with two big dudes like the Authors of Pain. And the Undisputed Era, the original members, Adam Cole, Bobby Fish, and Kyle O'Reilly. Then we had TakeOver Philly, which featured Andrade Cien Almas and Johnny Gargano for the NXT title, which was an incredible match. Then we had TakeOver New Orleans at the Smoothie King Center in New Orleans. We had Johnny Gargano versus Tommaso Ciampa in an unsanctioned match. This was all because of the fact that Tommaso Ciampa turned his back on Gargano at TakeOver Chicago 1, which then led to Chicago 2 in a street fight. And then Brooklyn 4, last man standing for the NXT title. TakeOver War Games 2, the Staples Center, right here in my hometown of LA. Pete Dunne, Ricochet, the War Raiders, and the Undisputed Era. Main event. TakeOver Phoenix, Tommaso Ciampa and Aleister Black for the NXT title. TakeOver New York, Johnny Gargano and Adam Cole, 2 out of 3 falls for the vacant NXT title. TakeOver 25 in Bridgeport, Johnny Gargano, Adam Cole, the NXT title. That match, I believe, lasted like 40 minutes. Then we had TakeOver Toronto 2, which had Johnny Gargano versus Adam Cole in a 2 out of 3 falls match for the NXT title. Then we had War Games again, which is Team Ciampa and the Undisputed Era, which actually featured Ciampa, Keith Lee, Dominik Dijakovic, or I guess now T-Bar, and Kevin Owens. Yeah, Kevin Owens was in this match, which is hilarious. Then we had NXT TakeOver Portland, which had Adam Cole versus Tommaso Ciampa for the NXT title again because of Johnny Gargano turning heel. Adam Cole retained, and then the next two takeovers were Inside Full Sail once again for the first time in a long time. Charlotte Flair, Rhea Ripley, and Io Shirai for the NXT Women's title, and then TakeOver 20 and then NXT, and then TakeOver 30, Keith Lee versus Karrion Kross for the NXT title. TakeOver, and then from TakeOver 31 up until now took place at the Performance Center in Orlando. So 31. Finn Balor versus Kyle O'Reilly for the NXT title. War Games featured the Undisputed Era versus Team McAfee. Yeah, I never thought Pat McAfee would be competing, which was hilarious. Then we had TakeOver Vengeance Day, Finn Balor versus Pete Dunne for the NXT title. Stand and Deliver 2 nights. The first night featured Gonzalez and Shirai for the NXT Women's title, and then the second night featured Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly in an unsanctioned match. TakeOver in Your House featured a fatal 5-way for the title, for the NXT title, which was Karrion Kross, Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, Johnny Gargano, and Pete Dunne. And then TakeOver 36 featured Karrion Kross and Samoa Joe for the NXT title. I'm going to take a wild guess, and I'm going to say that the men's War Games match is going to be the main event. Because if they don't make the men's War Games match the main event, this will probably go down in again. This will go down in history as one of the worst takeovers of all time, and in my opinion, I think one of the worst. I think the worst takeover show, in my opinion, I think was, if I'm correct, I would have to say takeover. I would have to say TakeOver Chicago 2 because there were rumors swirling that it was going to be Johnny Gargano who's going to win the title. But it did not come to pass. Or actually, I guess Brooklyn 4. Brooklyn 4. It was supposed to have been Johnny Gargano winning the NXT title from Tommaso Ciampa in that Last Man Standing match, but apparently things had changed. So if they don't make the men's War Games match the main event, or even the women's match the main event, I believe the ratings could very may well go down. And not only that, the sleeper match, in my opinion, is going to be Roderick Strong and Joe Gacy, because this will be the first time that somebody that's over 205 is challenging for the NXT for the Cruiserweight title that wasn't back in the day. Because back in the day, I believe it was under I believe it was like 215 pounds was like the highest that you can go in the Cruiserweight division in WWE. Now it's 205 and below, which is kind of bizarre. Now I guess anybody can challenge for the title. But that brings me to the question of the day. Which match do you guys think will be the sleeper match of NXT TakeOver War Games, of NXT War Games? I believe this will be what? The first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what are yours? What match do you think will be the sleeper match of NXT War Games 5? Let me know in the comments below, and that is going to do it for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you guys smash that thumbs up button if you guys are new to the channel and you guys want more episodes of WWE's Biggest Issue, which get posted every Monday. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you guys don't miss out on any new content that comes your way. And be sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram. All the links will be in the description below. And if you guys have any fan mail that you want to send me and want me to open up on the channel, my address will also be in the description as well. And on that, this is your boy Nash, signing out.